The year was 1405. France, a kingdom fractured. In a castle of imposing stature, nestled in the heart of Brittany, Gilles de Rais was born. He inherited a name that echoed with power, a lineage stretching back to the highest ranks of nobility. Orphaned at a tender age, he became the ward of his ruthless grandfather, Jean de Rais. Under his tutelage, Gilles learned the intricacies of power, the art of manipulation. But within the opulent halls of his ancestral home, a darkness stirred. Even in his youth, Gilles displayed an unsettling fascination with the macabre. Whispers followed him of strange experiments, of a morbid curiosity that extended beyond the typical fascinations of a nobleman's son. The boy was father to the monster, and the monster was stirring. France, a kingdom consumed by conflict, where the echoes of clashing swords and the cries of the wounded filled the air. The 100 Years' War raged on relentlessly, a brutal struggle that spanned generations, leaving deep scars across the land and its people, altering lives and landscapes forever. Into this maelstrom stepped Gilles de Rais, barely a man, yet already a seasoned soldier, hardened by the fires of countless battles. His name, once whispered in the hallowed halls of his ancestors, was now shouted with reverence and fear on the battlefield. He was a fearsome warrior, a brilliant tactician, his courage unquestioned, his strategies often turning the tide of battle. But war, a crucible for some, proved to be the inferno that forged Gilles de Rais into something monstrous, something beyond mere legend. He fought with a savage grace, his prowess in battle earning him both accolades and notoriety, a double-edged sword. Yet beneath the veneer of the valiant warrior, darkness festered, a shadow growing with each passing day. Each victory, each life taken, chipped away at the remnants of his humanity, leaving behind a hollow shell. It was during this tumultuous period that Gilles encountered Joan of Arc, a young woman of unwavering faith and unyielding spirit. They fought side by side, their names becoming legends whispered in the same breath, their fates intertwined in the annals of history. Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans, a beacon of hope in a kingdom shrouded in despair. Her presence on the battlefield was a divine wind, her faith a guiding light. Gilles, at her side, experienced a fleeting glimpse of redemption. He witnessed firsthand the power of her conviction, the unwavering belief that propelled her forward. For a time he basked in her reflected glory, his own darkness momentarily forgotten. But the light of Joan's faith could not penetrate the abyss that had taken root in Gilles' soul. The capture and execution of Joan of Arc marked a turning point in Gilles' life. Her death shattered the fragile remnants of his humanity. The wealth of the Rais family, once vast and seemingly inexhaustible, began to dwindle under Gilles' careless stewardship. The extravagant lifestyle he had grown accustomed to, the lavish expenditures on his entourage and his own indulgences, took their toll. The once proud castles and estates that had been in his family for generations began to show signs of neglect. Desperation gnawed at the edges of Gilles' mind. He turned to increasingly desperate measures to maintain his facade of wealth and influence, borrowing heavily from anyone foolish enough to lend to him. He sold off family heirlooms, pieces of his lineage, for a fraction of their worth. But it was not enough. The whispers that had once followed him on the battlefield were replaced by whispers of his financial ruin. The once great Gilles de Rais was becoming a cautionary tale. Desperation can drive a man to dark places, lead him down paths he swore he would never tread, paths shrouded in darkness and mystery. For Gilles de Rais, that path led him to the forbidden realms of alchemy and the occult. Realms where few dared to venture. He sought knowledge, power, anything that could restore his dwindling fortunes and ease the gnawing fear within him, a fear that grew with each passing day. He surrounded himself with alchemists, sorcerers and charlatans, men who promised him the secrets of the universe, each promising him the world in exchange for a piece of his dwindling fortune, a fortune that was slipping through his fingers like sand. He pored over ancient texts night after night, deciphering cryptic symbols and performing rituals that made his skin crawl, rituals that seemed to whisper to him in the dead of night. But the deeper he delved into these dark arts, the more unhinged he became, his mind unraveling like a frayed tapestry. The line between reality and delusion blurred, his nights filled with nightmares and his days with hallucinations, his mind a tapestry woven with threads of madness and desperation. Whispers of blood sacrifices, of unspeakable acts committed in the dead of night began to circulate. casting a dark shadow over his once illustrious name. The once proud nobleman had become a prisoner of his own obsessions, a tragic figure lost in the labyrinth of his own making. The darkness that had been festering within Gilles de Rais, fueled by desperation and his foray into the occult, finally found its outlet. It began subtly with the disappearance of a young beggar boy from the streets near his castle. Then another and another. The disappearances, while unsettling, were easily dismissed, but the whispers persisted. Rumors spread of children lured to the castle, with promises of food and shelter, never to be seen again. The locals, once accustomed to fearing Gilles de Rais for his military prowess, now feared him for a far more sinister reason. For Gilles, the murders brought a perverse sense of release. He had tasted blood, and it awakened a hunger within him, a hunger that could never be satiated. The murders escalated, becoming increasingly frequent and brazen. Gilles de Rais, once so meticulous in maintaining his facade, seemed to relish in the terror he inflicted. He no longer sought to hide his crimes, but rather reveled in them. The castle, once a symbol of his lineage and power, transformed into a charnel house. His victims, almost exclusively young boys, were lured to their deaths with promises of food, shelter, or employment. Once inside the castle walls, they were trapped, their cries for help swallowed by the cold stone. Gilles subjected them to unimaginable horrors, his acts of torture and depravity becoming more twisted with each passing victim. The few servants who remained in his employ turned a blind eye to the atrocities committed within the castle walls. Rumors of the atrocities committed within the castle walls could not be contained forever, no matter how hard they tried. The whispers grew louder and more insistent, reaching the ears of those who would not be silenced by fear or bribes. Jean de Malestroit, the Bishop of Nantes, refused to ignore the desperate cries of the missing children. An investigation was launched, discreet at first, then with increasing urgency as the true extent of Gilles de Rais' heinous crimes came to light. Witnesses were interviewed, testimonies gathered, and the mounting evidence pointed to a horrifying truth. The hero of Orléans, the once respected nobleman, was unmasked as a monster who preyed upon the innocent and vulnerable. The net was tightening, and soon the monstrous criminal would be caught and brought to justice. The trial of Gilles de Rais sent shockwaves through the kingdom. The accusations leveled against him, the sheer depravity of his crimes were almost beyond comprehension. He was charged with heresy, sodomy, and the murder of over 100 children. The court heard harrowing testimonies from witnesses, accounts of torture, murder, and necrophilia. At first, Gilles de Rais remained defiant, proclaiming his innocence and denouncing the accusations as fabrications. But as the evidence mounted, his resolve crumbled. Faced with the undeniable truth of his actions, he confessed. His confession, detailed and chilling, left no doubt as to his guilt. He was sentenced to death, his punishment to be carried out in the most public and humiliating manner possible. On October 26, 1440, Gilles de Rais was hanged for his crimes. His execution marked the end of a reign of terror that had gripped the region for years. His death, witnessed by a crowd eager to see justice served, did little to ease the pain and horror left in his wake. The people, though relieved, were haunted by the memories of his atrocities. The true extent of his crimes, the number of his victims, may never be known. The dark corridors of his castle held secrets that were buried with him. His name, once synonymous with nobility and valor, became a whispered curse, a cautionary tale told to frighten children. Stories of his deeds spread far and wide, growing more terrifying with each retelling. The legacy of Gilles de Rais is a dark stain on history, a chilling reminder of the potential for evil that lurks within the human heart. His actions serve as a grim example of how power can corrupt. His story serves as a warning, a stark illustration of how power, wealth, and desperation can corrupt even the most promising of souls. The allure of riches and influence can lead one down a path of no return. The echoes of his crimes continue to resonate centuries later, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath a veneer of respectability. His tale is a testament to the duality of human nature. But perhaps there is a glimmer of hope to be found in the darkness. The resilience of the human spirit shines through even in the face of such malevolence. The capture, trial, and execution of Gilles de Rais serve as a testament to the power of justice, the unwavering belief that even the most powerful are not above the law. It is a reminder that justice, though sometimes delayed, will ultimately prevail. Now, I want to hear from you. What piece of history would you like to see me break down next? Leave a comment below and let me know which event, era, or historical figure you'd like me to cover. If you found this video helpful or learned something new, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another episode of History on Demand.